We're at 60 yards today, and we are scoring our usual score. 10 rounds, 60 yards, and keeping track and seeing where I end up. Stick around and see if I totally shit the bed or if I get a new PR. That felt solid. Whew, that hit high though. That did not feel like that's where that was hitting. 866. They're all a little left, so I should have adjusted my windage a little bit, but I didn't. My last results a few weeks ago, I scored 207, which is a pretty good score. I had a few flyers. I was not shooting the best, but I recovered and stayed somewhat consistent instead of spiraling the whole time. So actually, with how I started out, feel pretty good with how I recovered. And I was thinking about it, and that might have been one of my better scores on camera. So we're gonna give it 5 clicks, moving my windage left to chase the arrow. I feel like my height was not bad. That felt dead on. That was a solid break. Wow. That was a solid shot, and that is pretty high. And that brought it down a little bit. Sounded like it knocked knocks. Solid grouping. Can't complain about that. So at least I know my shots so far are pretty consistent. I definitely realized on that last end, a couple techniques, a couple form changes I wasn't staying true to, which was keeping my chest proud and staying back on my lats instead of forward. So that felt more solid and repeatable. But I don't know why I'm hitting high. This sight tape has been spot on ever since I made it, and nothing has changed. So it's kind of odd. Maybe the strings are starting to stretch now that I put a fair amount through, or maybe it's just me. I don't know. Either way, is what it is. I'm just gonna keep rocking, keep scoring. As far as the scoring goes, if I had two ends of me just getting sighted in, we'll revisit that situation once we get to the end of the round. I'm loving these 5.0 arrows though. Definitely makes me not want to lose or break any. I've been pretty careful on that. A little bit of a flyer on that one, so that's not good. Really want to keep them all in the blue at the worst. And now we got one black. Now we'll see if it was good to leave it at 58 or if I'm gonna have to bring it back up again. That felt money. Felt like that was in the gold when it broke. Okay, just a little high in the red. I need to work on letting my shot break quicker and bringing my hand in and letting the release do the work from there. 8, 5, 4. 8 was not a bad shot. The 5 and the 4 were both just floating off and just broke to the left. Didn't feel like my form broke down at all. Don't feel like it was me. One thing I've been thinking about more lately is how much, when I have shots like that that are off, is it my technique? I feel like I'm pretty good at breaking. I feel like I'm really good at breaking a surprise shot. I almost never have anticipation coming in, and I've been really good at letting down when I do have that coming into my mind or I feel my shot getting stale. But I feel like when I'm getting those wild shots, it doesn't, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong through my shots, but it doesn't seem like it's my form that I'm doing anything necessarily differently. I'm sure I am to some extent, but it seems like it's just my float. It seems like it's just more erratic and it's just breaking way off at the wrong time. And there's really only so much I can do about that with a hunting bow. But I think I need to focus a little bit more energy into my sidebar and my front bar, putting more weight on it or adjusting the weight to try to see if I can calm that float down a little bit, or at least a little more consistency. Anyways, that's kind of what I've been thinking about a little bit. I think someone mentioned that in one of the last videos on setting up my bow so it sits level. Well, there's two schools of thought, which I've heard both of them. Setting up your bow so it's perfectly level and it wants to sit with the level perfect. And then there's another school of thought where you want it to be the opposite and it wants to pull to the left or the right. So you need to actively level it and keep it like that. That felt legit. Just tad low. I'll take that. That one felt like it broke right in there. Man, actually adjusting this D-loop, like I haven't been moving it enough. And it is crazy how much better it looks eclipsing perfectly around this thing. Man, that's really got to be messing with my aim when it's not perfect, when it's like an oval. GoPro had an SD card error, which is pretty annoying. And I did not even realize it, so I don't think I caught any of that footage of shooting. We're 4 ends in at this point right now. So first 2 ends I was shooting a little high and a little left. Adjusted both of those as you guys saw me. Third end I think I got it sighted in, and that was me. I shot a little left, had a couple, one in the black, a couple in the blue, one in the red I think, somewhere around in there. And then fourth end I had solid shots. All were right in there in the yellow and 2 in the red. Well, we got the footage down there now. We're starting off fourth end. We'll see how we're doing on time. That might decide where I'm going to call those first 2 ends as practice, and then we're going to start on end 3 right now. And then that way we got more footage of the actual target. So, just going to keep shooting, and then we'll just see where we end up. So much for acting like it's an actual event, because that wouldn't fly with getting 2 extra ends in the beginning to sight in. All right, we got a little bit of wind coming from my back right now. Looks like the wind has flipped because it was a little bit of a breeze coming at me earlier. We got some sprinkles coming in as well. Man, a freaking GoPro. You know, I love GoPros, and the reason why they're the #1 and I'll always have in POV action cameras is because they were the first to market. But, I mean, I'm not an expert at cameras, definitely not cameras in general or first person action cams, but from what I've heard is there's so many other better options out there, because this SD card error thing is like, can be freaking huge deal where you're missing things and you don't know it because you clicked it and maybe you have the buttons off, especially if you're hunting and you're about to go after something and you click it but you have the sound off, and you're not going to know that there's an SD card error, and you could have just not captured once in a lifetime bull and none of that footage. I might have to think about doing, I mean, I'm not sure if the newer GoPros have that issue anymore or not. That's something I'll look into whenever I upgrade, especially if it's going to be for hunting. Get off of my action cam soapbox. This camera has treated me well though. This is like the Hero 4 silver, so this thing's from like 15 years ago and it still works great. Ooh, that's a little bit of wind there. Let's give it a second. I hope this kind of blows through so I can finish shooting. Felt like a good break. Also felt solid. Nothing more satisfying than having it feel solid and actually landing exactly where you think. Which I don't know if that's what happened, but when I'm watching this footage back, I will. Or when I walk down there, I guess, in 20 seconds. I don't like letting down a lot, but I am happy with myself in being able to get that under control. I feel like that's saved a lot of shitty shots where I've let down once it's gotten stale and getting to that point where you're starting to hope it's a good shot instead of making sure it is a good shot. That felt pretty good too. That was end either N3 or N5. I'm interested to see which of those shots hit way left, because all 3 of those felt solid. So I'm not sure. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Either way, I'm happy with that. I'm definitely happy with 2 9s. Overall, happy with my consistency today. I'm going to start working on putting different weights on my bars. I'm going to take off this thing which I use for hunting, the mule stabilizer attachment. I'm going to start putting different weight up front there and messing around with what feels better, as well as in the back. So far, that's something I've not dove into at all, as far as actually keeping track of what the weight is at and how it sits better. So that was end. We're going to call that end 3. We're going to call this end 4. I'm not sure where that broke. Just outside the red. Just focus on repeatability and the process, not the result. Possibly a little low. .776. Not bad. I mean, the 7s are in the red. Wish that 6 was a 7 though, at least. Let's get 3 11s right here. Shafts touching in the center. Seems like I keep kind of breaking to the left today. Let's give it a few more clicks, actually. Just gonna give it 4 clicks. Let's just give it a little bit of security. Now watch, it'll bite me in my ass and I'll start hitting right. Just kidding, it's not gonna happen. We're gonna get all 11s right here. Felt like it broke low. Still in the red though. Happy about that. With how it felt anyway. I was on the edge of letting down. Oh, high as well. That group is spreading out a little bit. Spreading out. It's all good though. A little bit of wind. Starting to be a little bit more shaky, but it's a beautiful day. Getting some ends in, focusing on the form. Can't complain. Trip 7s. All of them are right on the line. I think making that adjustment even more, 4 more clicks, was definitely needed. So I feel like I encircled that quite a bit on that one. Didn't feel like any bad breaks that end. Felt like it was just floating and just breaking a little bit off. I'd like to take a little bit of a break, keep my arm fresh, but I do not have the convenience of time, I don't think. Eye blocker isn't doing its job here and there. Eye blocker does not work as well as just a paper cue card, but that looks pretty silly, and then you can't flip it up and down. 779, picked up a couple points on that one. Let's keep it rocking. Keep it rocking in the free world. Not happy with that one. 3 ends to go. Need to stay consistent and finish strong. Getting just a little shaky, but can't let that get in my head. Just need to let it float and execute. Let's do this. I'll be surprised if that's not an 11. That is how it felt. Vision was sliding a little bit on that last one. Hopefully it broke in the center, or somewhat near it. And I am racing the clock on that GoPro. It's almost running out of footage, out of storage space. 10 minutes to get these 2 ends. Should be doable, except with my slow ass shot process. Also, I don't want to give myself an excuse if I shoot badly that I'm rushing myself, so just slow down a little bit. Real low. That one dropped. Dang it. Well, that's going to nuke my score on that one. Man, I was just hoping to just finish solid. Oh well. Well, one more end. Let's finish it out. Last end right here, and it is raining out. We're just going to knock these out real quick. We're going to finish this strong. Whatever happens, happens. It was a good round of shooting today. Vision blurred. I don't know where that last one went. I was kind of just trying to keep it center and pull through the shot. I had to close my left eye. Okay, so that's all 10 ends right there. I'll add them up and we'll figure out the end score. I'm at 213 points. That is not a new PR, but that is my second best. It is my best on camera though. So I would call it a win. Looking at the scoring, I did have the issues with sighting in, which I didn't think I was going to have with those first two ends. So whatever, it is what it is. It's my scoring. I'm going to do what I want. So I did not count the first two ends, and I counted the last two ends instead. And really with that, it wasn't a big advantage. I was only net 1 point because I dropped that 2 on the second to last end. If I wouldn't have got that 2, it probably would have been a decent advantage, but I did. So it's only a 1 point advantage. So I'm pretty excited doing this scoring at 60 yards again because I haven't much at all this year. And now over these last two scores, I'm consistently better than what I used to be. I'm just glad to see that I've improved over the past year using this one objective piece of measuring that I'm doing. So, all right, you guys, thanks for watching, and we'll check you on the next.